Semitic magic, its origins and development. In the Levitical law, the taboo of eating that which dies by itself can be removed by washing. Leviticus 17:15. The following Assyrian text puts further light on this belief. All evil which exists in the body of may it be carried off with the water of his body, the washings from his hands, and may the river carry it away downstream. Ban, by heaven be thou exercised, by earth be thou exercised. The evidence before us, then, shows that the primitive taboo on uncleanliness existed among the Assyrians as among the Hebrews, Arabs, and other Semites. It's quite clear that the Mamit in the Sherpru series were written for people who had incurred a taboo, not merely directly, but by coming in contact with another person charged with the contagion. Indeed, this was when this highly developed Assyrian system of contagion from taboo is taken into account with the universal similarity of such taboos in all parts of the world, it would be no great deduction to assume that the primitive taboos were no more absent from Assyrian theology than they were from Hebrew, Arab, or other Semitic beliefs. But the basic facts of such customs are apparent from several tablets, as we've already seen, without our being compelled to deduce them. The Periantarion, what does that mean? I already shared that part. We know that the corpse is taboo for a purificatory ritual was incumbent on any Assyrian who touched or even looked upon a dead man. Secondly, we know that there were rites to be performed for women in childbirth, and that the woman who died in giving birth to her babe became a ghost. Thirdly, the girl who cannot menstruate in a regular way is mentioned with supernatural beings, and the woman with unwashen hands can render a priest unclean. Lastly, marriage and the Kre demanded that the Assyrian, as much as other Semites, should purify himself. These facts prove convincingly that dead bodies, menstruation, childbirth, sexual intercourse, and accidental emissions were all taboo in Babylonia, as well as in other parts of the Semitic East. The next point, which demands consideration, is why these taboos existed at all, or why man should have established a series of laws which are, for the most part, apparently unreasonable. It is, consequently, that this problem of apparent unreasonableness that remains to be solved, that we may discover by what process of reasoning primitive man evolved a system of taboos which are practically the same all the world over. It is a recognized fact, as has been mentioned before, that at the back of the brain is an ever-present idea in these taboos of some formidable spirits ready to attack any man who should transgress the limits of what is admitted as the peculiar demoniac right. It remains to be seen how far we can trace in the taboos on the aforementioned functions the connection of evil spirits and the savage logic which have seduced such a theory. Hitherto, we have seen that the taboo on a dead body is due to a dread of attracting the departed soul, which can return to affect all that meddle with the corpse. In other words, there is an unclean taboo arising from fear of evil spirits. The proof of the existence of such a one is ample encouragement to proceed on the same line of investigation in other unexplained taboos. Possibly we should regard as an extension of the law of issues of uncleanness of the human excreta. In this case, the taboo might be possibly connected with the idea of demons entering the body through one of its orifices, particularly the 9 gates. Naturally, the family descent is preferably traced to an entity rather than the demoniac mesalliance. The entity son by a woman is a hero or demigod. The semi-human offspring of a devil is probably an abortion, cripple, or malformed babe, such as were restricted from temple ministration. From the preceding chapter, we have seen that it is a widespread belief among the Semites that the female spirits can visit men and marry them. Indeed, that they can bear ghostly children to them who will await them in the next world. This is the explanation given by the reason of Bre by the rabbis, the Assyrians, the Arabs, and presumably we shall not be far wrong in thinking this explanation to have been widespread. The Semites are not the only peoples who admit intermarriage between deities and mortals, with entities with women and female entities with heroes. Similarly, as with men, women are also believed to be loved by male demons, Afrit, and even divine beings, who have license and power to approach them. Now, since the Qur'an is explained as evidence of the visit of a Lilith, which is with a concomitant taboo on the man, we may surely see a corresponding superstition about the woman in her courses. For the first time, when this occurs, the woman is carefully segregated from the rest of the tribe, often for a long time. She becomes taboo again on each successive occasion. These taboos once show how fearful men were of interfering with the harem rights of either male or female spirits, entities, and female entities. They were frequently precluded from seeing the sun. This is explained through the idea that the sun is susceptible of attack from roving demons. Remember that thing of Mario, that sun that goes, is it Mario 3? Mario 3, yeah. It becomes increasingly clear that the so-called divine or demoniac appetites are not satiated merely by food or libation, by incense or unguents, as seen from the frequence with which women are bowed to entities. The so-called divine beings were accredited with other passions, which their worshippers satisfy, just as the faithful share the sacrificial meal of the slaughtered fatlings, burn incense for a sweet savor, or anoint the stone, which represents the entity. So do they recognize the supernatural dues in marriage and acquiesce in the right to a share in the women of the tribe. The Arabs of ignorance used to bury their daughters alive, presumably offering them to the harem of their entity instead of sacrificing them. The condition of a woman, Nida, demanded an explanation, and what more natural one than she was obviously admitted into a ghostly harem? Harem? Okay, yeah, I should be saying harem because they have a, over the letter. When a man becomes taboo through Qur'an, it was because of his spirit wife, or Lilith, whose presence, hostile to others, made him dangerous. Similarly, a woman became taboo from fear of a jealous entity or demon. Hence, the idea of separating such folk from the remainder of the tribe, lest their presence should provoke an attack from the spirit in its nocturnal wanderings. Now, the Quran doesn't talk about the period after divorce in this way, but there is a period after the divorce, and now we find more biological reasons that support why this is a good idea. Proverbs 27:9, the desire for sweet scents, particularly among Orientals, far more than among Westerns, Well, but there's been a lot of stepping away from sympathetic magic, but a lot of it's coming back. If there be any truth in this explanation, there should be some similarity in the taboo on marriage and childbirth. This too seems very probable. In the case of marriage, the story of Tobit offers the best possible example. Tobit 6:14. We're still in Tobit 6, huh? Tobias, before his marriage with Sarah, goes in terror of the devil, which also loves her, which hurteth no man but those which come unto her. But after the wedding, he is able to drive away the demon with various evil smells. Another version, Tobiah remembered the words of Raphael, and he took the heart of the fish, and this is 8:2, and he put it in the censer and burned it under the clothes of Sarah. And Ashmedai received the smell and fled instantly. Remember the salmon fish of wisdom in the Celtic tradition? So, fixing salmon, so this guy is going to step away from foolishness and get wise here, is a business of Ashmedai to plot against the newly wedded. Tobias, before his marriage with Sarah, goes in terror of the devil, which also loves her, which hurteth no man but those which come unto her. But after the wedding, he is able to drive away the demon with various evil smells. The previous husbands have been slain by the demon, who regards himself as a constant lover in this case, brooking no attempt to share his harem. The case is the same in the story of Nuruddin and his son in the Arabian Nights. The father thou knowest not, nor do we know him, for the Sultan married her to the humpback groom, and the jinn came and prevented him. Among the Arabs, it was especially necessary to take precautions against demons on the consummation of marriage. Wellhausen, Rest, page 155. Among modern Arabs, a wedding must not take place when the moon is under an eclipse or under the sign of Scorpio. The best time between the 26th and the end of the lunar month. Haji Khan, with what pilgrims do, with the pilgrims. Among the Yazidis, cohabitation is forbidden on the night of Wednesday and Friday. Noteworthy, too, is the custom of the later Hebrews. A canopy is made for the dead, bridegroom, and brides, and either eatable or uneatable things may be hung on it. So is the decree of R. Meyer. R. Yehuda, however, said, R being rabbi, right, yeah, said only unripe things, viz. Unripe nuts, unripe kalaks, tongues of purple, and a flask of Arabian oil, but not when they are ripe. Tongues? Nor ripe pomegranates, nor a flask of sweet oil, or whatever hangs on the canopy. No benefit may be derived from it. Strings of fish, pieces of meat, may be thrown before the dead bridegroom or bride in the summer, but not in rain time. And even during the summer, they must not do so with cooked fish or other eatables, which will be spoiled after they are thrown on the ground. Abel Rabathi said, note also the custom in Arabia of making a bird fly away with the uncleanliness of widowhood, of a widow before remarriage. With the Syrian parallel in the records of the past, there is a curious story told by Masterman in the Biblical World 22:254 of a Palestinian Jew who married several women, all of whom died in childbirth. Thinking that he was under some magical spell, he went through the form of marriage with a cow, the wedding ring being actually placed in the cow's horn. The cow was then killed, and the man immediately married again, the curse having been, as he thought, removed. What other reason can there be for all this ceremonial uncleanliness of marriage except that men feared to meddle with the rights of spirits who had a prior right to any or all the women of the tribe? Why, for instance, should the later Hebrews have laid an embargo on two sisters marrying in the same day, lest the evil eye fall on the parents? Or on intercourse with a woman in a bed where a child sleeps, lest the child become epileptic? Pesachim, edited by Radkinson, page 232 of 5. The danger which the newlywed bride incurs from demons and passing the threshold of a new house has already been discussed. We may add here a quotation from Pesachim, page 170, that it was permitted to a bride to avert her face from the company while eating the paschal sacrifice, traditionally explained because of her bashfulness, but quite as probably a survival of the fear of her presence attracting malignant spirits. It is a Sunnah ordinance that the bride wash her feet in a clean vessel and then sprinkle the water in the corners of the chamber, that a blessing may result from this. Zet el-Mutamel quoted Lane in Arabian Nights 4, note 39. The former becomes intelligible if we recognize the power of disappointed demons to visit their revenge on the parents for too great a loss in one day, and the meaning of the latter is equally clear when the demoniac origin of epilepsy is remembered. Again, in the case of childbirth, the same uncleanliness of taboo attaches to the woman, and if she dies in giving birth to her child, she becomes a ghost which will return for its babe. Wellhausen, however, considers the law of Leviticus 12:2 implies 15:19. The law of uncleanness of childbearing may be an extension by analogy of the older law of uncleanliness of menstruation, or, the claim thereof. The infant, too, incurs the risk of attack from female spirits such as Lilith, the Lamia, or the Labartu. According to Indian folklore, the woman in this condition is exposed to exceptional perils, 1,000 demons, lascivious incubi, gathering around her. Hence, we may infer from the danger from spirits which renders the woman unclean may be either due to the jealousy of such female demons as may be supposed to have had connection with the father and resent her bearing a child to him, or it may be from the incubi, who account themselves the lovers of the woman, and are hovering near on such an occasion as the birth of a child. They may either be hostile because the babe is not theirs, or be anxious for the advent of their demon child in an untimely birth. Among the Orang Laut, a great clamor is made as soon as the child is born to them. All present unite in shouting and beating anything which will make a noise, and the greater the din, the better. The hubbub lasts for anything from 10 minutes to half an hour, being especially intended to drive away any evil spirit which might otherwise attack either mother or child. To quote a story of the somewhat earlier date, Psellus tells of a woman who in her confinement was very ill and raved extravagantly, muttered in a barbarous tongue, so they brought a very old, bald-headed man, who, standing with his sword drawn beside the bed, affected to be angry with the invalid, and upbraided her much in his own tongue, Armenian. And the woman answered him, on his growing more vituperative. She was overcome and fell asleep. The bystanders thought she spoke in Armenian also, and when she recovered, she declared that a sort of darksome spectre resembling a woman, with the hair disheveled, sprang upon her. Whether the demons are incubi or jealous spirit wives, they are dangerous to the people who approach the woman, and such being the case, she is taboo. Many modern superstitions throw light on this. The tribes of the Malay Peninsula light fires near a mother at childbirth to scare away evil spirits. In the Tyrol, it is said that a woman in childbed should never take off her wedding ring, or spirits and witches will have power over her. According to the modern Jews of Minsk, If you go alone to call a midwife, your course will be lengthened or troubled by devils. In Syria, the woman in such a condition must get up and go out of the house. When a corpse is carried past, or death may ensue to both mother and child. The evidence, therefore, that we have before us seems to prove that this is the solution of the problem. Spirits, both male and female, could manifestly intermarry in the tribe, and such persons as gave evidence of demoniac or divine selection were carefully tabooed, lest communication with them should bring down the jealous spirit wrath. We may Ashma, Dava. We may leave these taboos to pass on to the instances of the royal taboo or special taboo on kings among the Semites. It is a well recognized custom among the savage races that their chief shall be subject to special taboos which are not binding upon the common people, for in primitive times, the more prominent the chief, the more does he become the representative figurehead of the tribe. There is no need to give the details of savage customs which are well known and require no further elucidation. Which means, of course, we have to, right? Savage taboos on royalty, okay. I hate how they keep saying savage. Among the Syrian traces of this royal taboo occur in the Hemorrhology text. There are certain acts from which the king must abstain on the 7th, 14th, 19th, 21st, and 28th day of the month. That is to say, every 7th day with the 49th, 7 times 7 day, from the 1st of the preceding month. For instance, the 17th day of the 2nd Elul, the festival of Marduk and Sarpanatum, a lucky day, an evil day. The shepherd of the wide-spreading peoples must not eat the flesh that has been cooked over coals, nor bread cooked in ashes. Compare the taboo in Shabbath Talmud, edited by Schwab, 425, that no meat, onion, or egg should be put to roast on the eve of the Sabbath, unless it can be finished cooking that day. Bread was not to be put in the oven, or a cake on the ashes, unless there was time for a light crust to form on the surface before the beginning of the Sabbath. The Assyrian word for bread cooked in ashes, akal termi. It is the Hebrew ant ratzpim. The panis subsinricus of the Vulgate. For the use of magic, compare the instances given. Okay. Den 27, Tammuz, Fitrern die Maner en Mysterian des Shemal zu Ehren der Ganien, der Damonen und Gottfeinten. Sei machen weil Aschenkutschen aus Mehel Terbinden Bieren getrockneten Weinbieren Rasenbeben ungeschälten Nosen Wedei Herten suchen beflecken. These prohibitions on cooking probably arose from some taboo against the fire. See Exodus 35:3. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath. And Leviticus 10:1 and 2, where the offering of the strange fire meets with the punishment of the fire which comes forth from Yahweh. Josephus says that the Essenes strictly observed the rules to cook no food and light no fire on the Sabbath. He must not change the raiment of his body, nor put on clean or white clothes. He must not offer a libation. The king must not ride forth in his chariot, and must not speak loudly. The priest must not make inquiry in a secret place. The physician must not lay his hand on the sick to raise the voice as a taboo to a murder among the Omahas. The physician must not lay his hand on the sick. It is unfitted for making a curse. Often hemorrhology texts make this ban in a different form. On the 19th of Iyar, he who uttereth the ban, an entity will seize upon him. Now I would say, you got to be careful who you curse, kind of try to make it a conditional thing that to prevent from doing harm, to protect people from harm, but not, just, or to keep people from bad or something like that. That's the sort of ban that maybe you should pray on behalf. But in the evening, the king should make offerings and sacrifices to Marduk and Ishtar. His prayer will be acceptable to this entity, is what the text says. No important points to notice in this hemorrhology before going further, as the two phrases, a lucky day and an evil day, and the distinction between the king and some persons who is called the shepherd of the wide-spreading peoples. And there's an old custom among the shepherdim, if labor is protracted, to set a chair in the middle of the room for Sit Miriam, the Lady Mary, who is invited to come in and assist, but as soon as the child arrives, it is as hurriedly invited to retire. If this latter is merely an equivalent for a king, as seems quite probable, it is not unlikely that we have a text that hears a recension from two different versions. The two antithetical epithets for the day are quite in accord with this. K 3597 is another tablet prescribing things which a king must not do on a certain day. Now, surely the rights to reprint the tablets, like was desired by the person who made this, is available, so that might be interesting to do separate videos for that. Inna umeshu sharu ana tenuri shu'ul iqarab shaltish ul etameh ashar puzre amatu ul ishakan ku ul ishatu ku ul iptara'u. On that day the king must not approach his fireplace. He must not speak loudly. He must not make inquiry into a secret place. He must not drink vegetables. He must not cut off vegetables. The Hebrew, remember some of the Yazidi taboos. The Hebrews too had the royal taboos. When a ruler sinneth and doth unwittingly any of all the things which Yahweh his God hath commanded not to be done, and is guilty, see Leviticus 4:22, he shall make atonement. In the Talmud, there is a tradition, Yoma 8:1, that only the king and the brides are allowed to wash their faces on the Day of Atonement. Holy taboos do not come within the scope of this book. Under this heading must come many of the taboos mentioned in the hemorrhologies. For instance, among the Assyrians, to eat fish on the 9th day of Iyar rendered men liable to sickness. In Syria, the eating of fish, which were sacred to Atargatis, was held to result in sickness of ulcers, swellings, or wasting disease. Even dates, at times, were taboo to the Assyrians, and if they were eaten on certain forbidden days, ophthalmia was supposed to result. This is like an eye disease, right? To cross a river on the 20th of Ab would also bring sickness, but these and kindred others being more probable to the sacred taboos, along with the unclean totem beast, and have no place here. This chapter will have served its purpose if any case be made for the theory that the dread attaching to sexual function is due to a belief in jealous and lustful spirits. And one of the things that we very much see is the problem of psychosomatic harm